In the award-winning film There Will Be Blood, one man's lust for oil and the power and wealth that comes with it.
There's a whole ocean of oil under our feet. No one can get at it except for me.
Eventually drives him mad.
I am the third revelation.
The United States' increasing reliance on foreign oil has some Americans questioning their government sanity. President Bush says he realizes it's time for a change.
America's got to change its habits. We got to get off oil. That dependency presents a challenge to our national security. In 1985, 20% of America's oil came from abroad. Today, that number is nearly 60%.
Much of that imported oil comes from OPEC, a group made up of 13 of the world's most petroleum-rich nations. These countries have an abundance of oil, but most of them lack democracy and human rights. Some are state sponsors of terrorism and sworn enemies of the United States.
With only one or two exceptions, OPEC is effectively dictatorships and autocratic kingdoms.
Former CIA Director James Woolsey is a member of the Set America Free coalition. The group highlights the national security and economic implications of America's dependence on foreign oil.
97% of our transportation is fueled by oil products of one sort or another, and two-thirds of the world's proven reserves of conventional oil are in the Middle East, and about that share is also in the hands of OPEC.
Gas and oil prices are currently at an all-time high, and OPEC sets the market price. Woolsey says Saudi Arabia is using a chunk of its oil wealth to spread radical Islam worldwide.
The Saudis control about 90% of the world's Islamic institutions, and oil is the reason for that.
Iran's big oil profits mean big money for that country's nuclear program and its terrorist proxies Hezbollah and Hamas. And Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has been joined by Venezuela's Hugo Chavez in threatening to help drive oil prices up even further.
The price of oil was $11 a barrel in 1999, went to $22 a barrel in 2001, $50 a barrel in 2005. Now it's $100 a barrel. And Hugo Chavez and Ahmadinejad are already talking about raising it to $200 a barrel. And they will do that if we don't have a competitive situation.
Robert Zubrin is the author of Energy Victory, Winning the War on Terror by Breaking Free of Oil. He says flex fuel vehicles are the way to break what he calls OPEC's energy monopoly.
Only fuel choice can defeat OPEC, and it's flex fuel vehicles that will create fuel choice in the market.
Flex fuel cars run on a mixture of gasoline and either ethanol or methanol. If you put 15% gasoline in your car and say 85% ethanol, your gas bills are obviously going to be much lower. And the more money you save on gas, the less money goes to OPEC. Ethanol and methanol are alcohol fuels that are easily produced. Ethanol can be made from corn, grains, barley, wheat, rice, and sugarcane. Corn is the main ingredient for ethanol in the United States. But corn-based ethanol has plenty of critics. Some have blamed the trend toward corn-based ethanol fuel for recent food shortages in third world countries like Haiti. They say the increased demand for biofuels like ethanol that can be made from food has driven up food prices. But there are other flex fuel options like methanol. It can be made from any kind of biomass, like plants, crops, wood, and agricultural waste, as well as coal, natural gas, and even urban trash. Zubrin says these types of flex fuels could also help America become energy independent.
The U.S. Congress could destroy the oil cartel with a stroke of a pen simply by passing a law mandating that all new cars sold in the United States, not made, sold, be flex fuel that is able to run on either alcohol or gasoline.
He says such legislation would force gasoline to compete against flex fuels at the pump.
If we made it the American standard that to sell a car here, it had to be flex fueled, it means all the foreign car makers would switch their cars over to flex fuel, and gasoline would be forced to compete at the pump against alcohol, not only in Iowa, but in Argentina and India and Kenya and Poland, everywhere.
Here in the U.S., Detroit's big three automakers are producing 24 different models of flex fuel cars this year. Still, flex fuel cars make up only about 3% of the new car market. Some experts say there could eventually be other options, like hydrogen-based cars. But the debate continues over how best to handle America's energy needs.
If we should be wondering who is paying for, let's say, little Pakistani boys to go to madrasas and be taught to be suicide bombers, if you really wonder about that, move the rearview mirror just a few inches before you get out to charge your gasoline and look into your own eyes. And now you know. You and I are paying for it.
Eric Stakelbeck, CBN News, Washington.